does it really blow ass?
It won't be too long now. It's a bit of a tradition with me and my father. We've seen every new Star Trek film together since The Undiscovered Country. Trekkiness is generational, plain and simple, and I have no intention of letting that change with Star Trek 13. Yeah, I know. Undiscovered Country was the last one to use a number. We're dealing with a reboot continuity, but come on, for simplicity's sake, I'm just calling it Star Trek 13. Superstition about the supposedly unlucky 13, be damned. Of course, the ones dogging the film pre-release are bitching about Beyond for a different reason. The whole Abrams verse has gotten flack for supposedly Michael Bayifying all of Trekdom. A criticism typically coming from elitist fan-wanking whiners who want to pretend they're smarter than everyone else. Oh no, look at all the kung fu bullshit! Oh no, look at all the Fast and Furious antics! Fuck you! This isn't your daddy's Star Trek. That's not in dispute. But to pretend these new movies are all about action and explosions is just asinine. Whiners who do so, I love it when they wax nostalgic for Star Trek 2, apparently forgetting that Wrath of Khan was, in itself, a dramatically different approach to Trek, with less focus on exploration and more emphasis on how the action plays out. As for how Into Darkness revisits that, I was once challenged to answer, "Ooh, what's the theme of Into Darkness other than stuff blowing up every 5 minutes?" I don't know, how Spock and Kirk's friendship progress in this new timeline, and how they have to learn how the other thinks and feels, not just flipping their roles.
The Enterprise and her crew need someone in that chair that knows what he's doing. And it's not me. It's you, Spock.
Anyway, if you want to bitch about J.J. Abrams, pointing out any foibles with Trek ain't how to do it. Dog a Star Wars movie instead. I'm sorry. I was dead wrong in my prediction. I figured fanboys would dog that like the prequels, but the hardcore nerds ate up Disney's brazen attempt at pandering by stuffing an exorbitant amount of toothpaste back in the tube, whereas I almost threw up in my mouth the moment I started reading the crawl. Yeah. But that bitter disappointment is for another time. For now, if we want to talk about a bad Trek movie, let's go with one that's objectively a failure on every level. Travel back in time to 1989, a magical time for cinema. Oh, that year we got Ghostbusters 2, Indiana Jones 3, The Little Mermaid, and over in Japan, Godzilla vs. Billionte. Films I found very memorable and still love watching to this day. Oh, how I wish I could count Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, among them. But this lump of Mugato turds soaked in the piss of Species 8472 is, quite simply, objectively a travesty of intergalactic proportions. I recently rewatched it, but it wasn't as bad as I remembered. It was worse! Why do I say that? Well, at just about every juncture in the first half of the film, you're repeatedly teased with what should be a bit of classic Trek awesomeness. Early on, you're treated to seeing Kirk doing some free-climbing bullshit or whatever, taking in the breathtaking landscape thanks to some dramatic shots, only to have the whole mood ruined by Spock showing up in rocket boots. Even by the standards back then, this looked fucking ridiculous. Dramatic build-up on that supposed planet of peace or whatever, where representatives of the Federation, Romulan Empire, and Klingon Empire meet. Any drama there is instantly ruined by that last one doing a Barney Gumble routine. Having to go to said planet after this Cybok motherfucker holds the aforementioned representatives hostage? Oh, we're going to be treated to this awesome commando raid led by Captain Kirk. And the mood is ruined when we see Nichelle Nichols doing a striptease. Seriously, one of the most iconic actresses in cinematic history does a fucking stripper act. Granted, Nichols doesn't look half bad in her late 50s, but come on, it's the principle of the thing.
I've always wanted to play to a Captain Williams.
Speaking of brazen attempts to stimulate the genitals of the male half of humanity, what about that three-titted alien catgirl stripper? Now don't get me wrong, the idea of a three-titted alien catgirl stripper is something I can get behind, but somehow this movie turns even that into erection retardant. I mean, all you guys watching this right now, does this titillate you? Does this serve as a replacement for all that Catgirl hentai you downloaded off those free sites? No, it does not. And to rub salt in the wound, when Kirk runs into that thing, well, thankfully he doesn't take a break from the commando rig to bang her or anything, but in the aftermath of the fight, she's lying face down in that tub. That poor Catgirl, she had so much to live for. But enough about Catgirl fetishism. There's other things that slap you in the face besides the film desperately wanting to give you a Woody and utterly failing at it. Like the special effects that wouldn't even cut it back during the original series. This was one of the only 2 Treks not worked on by Industrial Light and Magic, the other being Insurrection. With Insurrection, ILM was busy with Phantom Menace and shit, while back in 1989, stuff like Ghostbusters 2 and Indiana Jones 3 sucked up all their time. But while Insurrection still looked like Trek, in Final Frontier the visuals and sound effects for the phasers are all off, and just look at the disruptors in that Klingon bird of prey. That is some of the cheesiest stop-motion bullshit I've ever seen. The stop-motion back in 1933's King Kong is still more convincing. Isn't that the Star Wars blaster sound effect? Proof we didn't need Abrams to have shit from both franchises thrown together. Speaking of the Klingons in general, they're always supposed to be a big deal. Whenever Klingons step on screen, a good or otherwise decent Trek film demands that you stand up and take notice. Even in the other Trek films that get routinely criticized.
Definitely feeling aggressive tendencies, sir.
Here, the Klingons we get, Captain Claw and his crew, they're walking jokes. You guys still want to whine about Megan Fox as April O'Neil or whatever? Check this bitch out. Seriously, whenever I require an example of truly wretched, unconvincing acting, I need to only recall how even Klingons in this Trek couldn't salvage a damn thing.
Please, Captain. Not in front of the Klingons.
Bad effects, passable to terrible acting, and absolute failure to get it up. Let's see, I haven't talked about the plot much. Basically, Spock's brother Sybok rallies some denizens of this armpit of a planet to hold the aforementioned representatives hostage, which is all a trap because he's got some weird brainwashing bullshit going on, and his aim is to hijack the Enterprise to go to the center of the galaxy to find God or something. I don't know, it's stupid, and when even a hot dogger like James T. Kirk voices how stupid undertaking a mission sounds, you know something's wrong.
With all due respect, the Enterprise is a disaster. There must be other ships in the quadrant.
Yeah. And remember how Star Trek IV ended with them getting this awesome new Enterprise, eh? Well, now we learn that the bloody thing's a buggy mess, thereby ruining the last movie's happy ending, too. Oh, taking a little trip to the center of the galaxy? Didn't we have, later on, you know, a whole goddamn Trek TV series dealing with how long that shit would take? Back to how Sybok can influence peeps to do his bidding. That sort of thing should be foreboding, leaving you wondering how the crew will wind up countering that bullshit. But the film can't really build up tension for that, thanks to how, well, for one thing, the sets for inside the Enterprise are too damn bright. It only exacerbates the whole jokey, silly vibe that's already taken too far.
What's amazing about it, I know this ship like the back of my hand.
And the crew that do succumb, it happens off-screen mostly, leading to asinine moments like Uhura admitting feelings for Scotty. When was that ever hinted at? At least the stuff with her and Spock in the reboot Trek films, it's an alternate timeline, so it's easier to swallow. But when it's time for the big three to finally face down Sybok's attempts to influence them, it leads to one of the film's only laudable moments. Much ado has been made about DeForest Kelley showing off his acting chops here, as McCoy relives how he euthanized his father, but for me, The big draw was Shatner's acting here, where his character flat out refuses to even let Sybok try that bullshit on him. He scoffs at the idea of his crushing emotional pain being lifted, saying he needs that pain to give him wisdom. I will admit that, as sucky as this film is, this is probably one of Kirk's best character moments, for that reason alone.
Damn it, Bones, you're a doctor. You know that pain and guilt can't be taken away with the wave of a magic wand. They're the things we carry with us, the things that make us who we are. We lose them, we lose ourselves. I don't want my pain taken away, I need my pain!
But other than that, the movie just feels pointless. Part of the climactic end on the planet where Sybok and the power trio meet, God or whatever, looks kinda cool. But the very final act is just as much a bland melange of whatever as the rest of the film. And upon rewatching the film, I noticed dumb shit I missed long ago. Like how when Spock uses those damn boots again to rocket up a turbolift shaft, the Enterprise A is similar in size and layout to the original, yet somehow has about 3 times the number of decks, and they're all out of order? No wonder Shatner wanted a director's cut to fix up this mess. The whole film just feels unnecessary. People determined to convince me I'm in denial about Star Wars Episode 1 routinely telling me that watching that film is unnecessary, even though it set up the other 2 prequels that supplied all the puzzle pieces for the original trilogy's mythos. No, this film is the entry in a sci-fi series you can safely skip. For reals, Star Trek IV had hints of further tensions with Klingons. Those lingering tensions became the backbone of Star Trek VI's plot, but here, a Klingon bird of prey just shows up because why not? And its crew makes all nice because why not? Only for the final film in the old series to remind us that Klingons aren't exactly an ally yet. So yeah, whine about Star Trek Beyond and that ninja-kicking albino Ashoka Tano looking bitch all you want. But seriously, I can't envision any Trek film sinking to the depths that Final Frontier did. Even the maligned original motion picture. That was more plotting than anything else. But hey, I was wrong about Force Awakens being another Star Wars I could enjoy. Please, Abrams, for the sake of my paw, don't let me be wrong again about one of your films. Please, please, please.